An article appeared in my feed. I saw the same article pushed in several publications titled, "We are setting them up for failure. Boomers supporting their Gen Z and young millennial children are having their retirement ruined and savings raided," which really upset me. Maybe it upset me because it is something that I've had to do, but with pleasure. Uh, Maybe it is something that I had to do because we believe in this particular family unit that that is what it is, a family unit. And the family unit can be insular, grow, depending on what size it needs to be, etc. But I'm going to go there in a little bit. Not many see the implications of the article, but the article's sentiment and advice are anti-family. The instantiation of the capitalist doctrine. We will cover this. And first of all, before I get started, I want those parents that are listening now who have followed their stockbrokers, who have followed the advice of their stockbrokers, who have followed the advice of their money managers, who have followed the general advice in the tenants out there. This is not a guilt trip at all. Because what we have as a society has always been an indoctrination. And that's not America only, that's all over the world. Every society is an indoctrinative state. That's just how we are. To some extent, my parents indoctrinated me. I probably indoctrinated my daughter, because indoctrination just means there's a certain set of values that don't necessarily have any scientific way of why it should be that way, but that's just how the culture develops. And in America, we have an individualistic culture. We have a culture that says more about yourself. You care about you. If you take a look at our gun debate is there because I want the ability to have a gun. I want the ability to do as I please. I, right? You look at Ayn Rand, it's about not caring about the collective, not caring about all of us all. It's about me. Even Ayn Rand, that woman who believes solely in selfishness, even when she was on her deathbed, she depended on us all, Social Security. So there's nothing called I in reality, right? We're all codependent. It's hard to accept many a times that I need you. All of us needs each other. And when we realize that we need each other and we believe in that concept, it's amazing how much better life is, because no longer are we just trying to hoard for ourselves. But we haven't gone through that yet. Right now, we're still, because again of our indoctrination. And that's why I'm saying what I'm going to say here. Please, if that is the path that you taken, remember, we understand that is how we've been reared. That is how we've been indoctrinated in just about all these things that we do. Anyhow, I want to start out with the article before I get into my soapbox. The article starts out, everyone wants the best for their kids. That's true. Most people are good people. Whenever it's happiness, health, or wealth, parents and guardians want their kids to have an abundance of each. But at what cost to their own livelihoods? That sentence immediately got to me. At what cost? Everything has a cost. We understand that. But to then say that, all right, I want good for my kids. But when you say at what cost, that automatically gives you the feel like, well, I want things good for my kids as long as it's good for me first. But, if it's not going to be good for me, well, to hell with my kids. I mean, the sentence doesn't say that, but the implication from it thereafter when you look at it in a different context. Get what I'm saying here? Courtesy of skyrocketing rent prices, soaring inflation, student debt, and turbulent post-pandemic job market, parents of Gen Z in particular may have to support their children more than previous generations. A recent survey from Bankrate found that 68% of parents are either supporting or have supported their adult children in the past, saying as a result, they delayed their own financial milestones, retirement, paying off their own student debt, even had to take cash out of emergency savings to do what? To help or take care of their kids. And to this article's writer, who generally, you take a look at where these articles are printed, it's generally in some sort of a financial magazine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And my thing is like, yeah, increase rents, increase, all these prices are higher now that we are, those who are baby boomers and Gen X's, we never had the kind of prices to go to school and all of that that our kids have right now. When I came to the United States, I paid the highest tuition rates than anyone else because I was a foreigner my first year, and I paid $40 a semester hour. When I became a Texas resident and I got my green card and I started on the path to become a U.S. citizen, I became an in-state tuition in Texas, and it went from $40 an hour to $4 an hour. When it was time for my daughter to go to UT, same university, her cost in real dollars was higher than my costs as a foreign student going to the University of Texas. What am I saying here? To equate what boomers and Gen Xers went through financially with what Gen Zs and millennials are going through, the kind of costs that they have relative to the kind of costs we had, it's a lot higher. And I want to put a little mea culpa on it on our generation. We are the ones who elected those people that believed in this supply side type economics that created that wealth gap, that put many of us in the situation, that put many of our kids in the situation that they are in today. So there is some mea culpa to go around why things are so expensive for them, why school costs so much for them. We are partly responsible because of those that we chose to elect, right? And yes, it may have given some of us a tax cut and a little bit better. Me, I. It may have given some of us a better, a marginally better life at the expense of our kids. So now that our kids need more help than we did, these consultants want you to feel guilty. And by the way, remember I said most Americans are good people? Look at what this article is saying. This article is saying 68% or so of parents are putting their retirement on hold or taking money out of their funds to help their kids. Again, most people are good. And that has a material effect on the stockbroker. That has a material effect on the stock market. That has a material effect on that money manager who wants to hoard your money to keep moving up, right? If a lot of parents are starting to help their kids, or it becomes vogue for you to go ahead and help your kids more so than they want you to help them because that is money that you're not investing in their domain, that becomes problematic for them, right? Because all they make their money from is using your money, making money off of money. And if you're using your money to not give your kid, I don't look at the monies that I give my kid as just a wasted piece of dollar. It's an investment not only in my kid's future, not only in my kids' growing up well-being, even as I have to do it more so than they did with me because of the society we live in. It's an investment in family. And you know what? People have a tendency to believe that somehow not investing in you and you doing well and necessarily not helping those in the family that needs help, that somehow then in your later years, it's going to be okay because you have more money in your retirement, because you have more money of your own. But you know what that leads to? A society where as you grow old, you're thrown into a nursing home and not with the love of family, taking care of you, because now it's all antiseptic. You saved a lot of money and you even saved enough to be in a nursing home. Most don't, most can't. But I mean, for those who can, that's what the stockbroker's telling you. Put your money away, give your money to that insurance company who can get you in a nursing home, because they've used your money and now they're going to give some of it back to you to be in a nursing home. Whatever happened to family? Well, we never nurtured family. The economic system isn't designed to say, let's do the things that nurture family, that makes families feel responsible for each other. Not only in youth, but but when you get old. You wonder why today nursing homes are the big thing, and in the traditional American family, why is it that after one gets old and needs a little bit of help, other than yes, both households are working, folks throw their parents into a nursing home, etc. Without any feeling of I wish I could from some. It's the system that is keeping the families apart. A while back, somebody once said that, our welfare system destroys the family. And in a lot of ways, they were right. I mean, the people on welfare, they used to they wanted the father to be out of the house, because if the father is in the house, there's more money that's gotten. All these kinds of structures were created that did this. And all of it was because of how much money one was willing to give, under what circumstances. We wanted to give the least possible. So what am I saying here? What am I trying to get across here? And I'm going to get a little bit more of the article, then I'll state that. A recent survey from Bankrate found that 68% of parents are either supporting or have supported their adult children in the past, saying as a result, they delayed their own financial milestone. And believe it or not, they look at that statement as a problem. I look at that statement as saying, above and beyond the pressures from the Wall Street folks telling you, don't be giving those spoiled brats any money. You go ahead and throw it into your savings account. Look, I'm not saying to be irresponsible or to create irresponsible kids. But what I'm saying is, whenever you hear the statement about giving money first to the stockbroker before you help your kids or before you invest in your kids, I find it problematic. Now, Gen Z and millennials say on average they shouldn't have to start paying off their bills until they're 22. Okay. Most of us don't ever pay off our bills till we are 60 something. You doubt it? Take a look at the numbers. The data found millennials think that, I'm not going to read that part about the data, think of what millennials is, because it was clear that the author of this piece, however, had a severe bias against Gen Z and millennials. And I don't even consider it a bias, other than it is something to make parents who decided to help their kids feel guilty, because they want you to stop. They want your money. They want you invested in your retirement. And look, investing in your retirement, all these things are important. That said, most Americans right now can't even do that given our current economic state, our permanent economic state, that is. Then they want to give you illustrative examples now, right? Welcome aboard, Eric Hayes, to the program. They want to give you illustrative examples. So they have a subtitle in the article that says, helping my kids so much was a huge mistake. The way I don't know if you remember yesterday, or 2 days ago, or I think it was on the Friday show, I said my wife was watching a program on TV where it says that electric cars are heavier, and because electric cars are heavier, the wrecks are going to be more substantial with the electric cars. There's this just out of the blue story comes out the networks pick it up, and suddenly they put in the mind of people that somehow electric cars were dangerous, right? And after my wife kind of looked at me with concern, I said, hey, don't listen to that. The reality is, they're saying electric cars are heavier, so the wrecks could be more substantial. True, mass, and the mass, larger mass, that's what it gives to you. But you know what? Did they tell you that by not burning gas, there's less benzene in the air, etc., which for all those people who would have gotten cancer, which is quite a few of them, not just the people in a wreck, that burning fuel in fossil cars and taking that car off the market saves more lives than that? Did they tell you that? Oh, no, I never thought about it that way. The same with this article. This article subliminally is teaching us something. When certain articles come out, we have to know the sources, we have to see where they come out, and we have to understand why they are written. And when you see articles like this that are trying to promote, like I mentioned in the beginning of this program, a certain indoctrinative state, a way of controlling your mind in a certain way. They're trying to tell you how you must behave, what you must do. They want to change your modal. When you look at the insular family who originated from certain countries, let's say China or other countries, a Chinese family comes over here, and that insular unit, I'm not talking about an Americanized Chinese family, but a Chinese family that comes over. And by the way, it's not only here in the United States. I'm from Panama, Central America. And when they migrate to Panama, the culture, within that culture, they start a little store by going to different family members, and they're putting their monies together. They're not going to Wall Street or a banker and I have nothing against a banker or Wall Street I do have a lot against, but a banker that is doing, as the last resort, right? But they build their businesses from families. In Panama, in Colon, where I'm from, you'd see a company come, a little store that sells a slice of bread, a piece of cheese, all these kinds of things for the worker who's just going off to breakfast. And they start that store from a little bit of monies from the family members, and the kids get a little bit of money to go do this. And then slowly they build upon what the families together put together. And that culture is anathema to what we have in a lot of ways. Why? Because we don't want that. We don't want it to be that you raising money from the families around to build things, because you cut out that small number of people who want to make money off of your money, right? If people start doing that, and we start having a collective society where a group of friends get together and say, hey, you know what? Let's build this sort of stuff together. Hey, John is really good at that, and he has this great idea. We are going to invest in John. Hey, you've just cut out the banking, you've just cut out that capitalist system that wants to use you as a piece of capital to generate a little bit of income for somebody else. That family that used to get together and say, you know what? Hey, auntie, brother, sister, let's have this deal. All of us put X amount of dollars in a pie and work together. Or, to put it more local, invest in your kid who later on succeeds, who later on know that they have a family that's backing them and gives them that much more self-worth, give them that much more a feeling that they have a backing. And then when you get old, because it's the unit, you're not worried about, you're going to be thrown in a nursing home with no relationship to those kids. My wife and I were watching a newscast one time several years ago, and there's this woman who, her house was in disrepair. She lived alone. The heat was gone, all of that. And the newscaster said, and it's interesting, her daughter is a doctor, her son is an engineer, and all of that they were talking about. And, this woman is living like this, right? And my wife was like, look how lousy those kids are. And, initially I said, yeah, that's, how do you let your mother, your parent, or any family member live that way when you're in this particular situation, right? And then I thought for a minute and I said, people in general, people are good and people are general reciprocative, There must be something there. And when you see stories like this one that I'm reading that seems so benevolent, but what it teaches you is to take care of you first, right? So that kid that's a doctor now is thinking of taking care of themselves first. That kid that's an engineer is probably thinking about taking care of themselves first, right? It is not of second nature because that parent that now needs probably took care of themselves first. I'm not saying I know that for a fact, but I'm saying knowing the goodness in people in the aggregate, you can see how that indoctrination of taking care of self first can be extrapolated. So I wanted to start off with this story because in effect, I'm saying let's not let externalities, let's not let a financial system, let's not let articles like this give you a second. And if you're out there helping your kids because they're having a hard time, if you're out there helping your kids because they want to finish school and it's so expensive now, and you decided to go into your 401k, you decided to go into your retirement, this article wants you to feel guilty about it. Don't take your money away from the stockbrokers. We need your money to make money. Do not feel bad or a bad feeling for doing what is the right thing to do. You may not have $1 million when you retire, but you'll have the love of your kid. You will have a kid that you've invested in. You would have the things that matter. And you know what matters? Human relationships more than any piece of dollar matters. It does matter. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.